Hi, welcome to Analytics into Action, setting up your setter for success. My name is Erin Virtue. I'm an assistant coach with the U.S. Women's National Team. I'd like to thank the AVCA for first for putting on this amazing virtual convention and pivoting in a way that we all could still share and learn and grow from each other, and for asking me to present with you guys here today. I'm honored, and it's always great to be able to share things that I've learned, and then hopefully gain some things from each of you throughout this process as well. And so today we're going to look at a few studies that our women's national team specifically has done over the last quad. And we, as most of you know, we've been given a 5th year for this quad to finish up next year at the Olympics. And so these studies are specifically done to help our setters and our offense, and by that our team. So stick with me, and we'll go through some analytics and how to turn those into either training or competitive advantages for our team. So first, I'd like to just begin with where I came from. And just as the evolution of dance you see here, I have evolved a ton as a coach. I'm grateful for the programs that I've been able to work in and the coaches that I've been able to work with and learn from. But looking and learning from analytics has been a really big part of this journey for me. I joke with Karch and Tama, Luca, and Jeff on our national team staff that I was on the math team back in high school. I think I was just an honorary member, but I've always done well in math and data analysis and things like that. But I've really had to make this a priority in my learning, and putting that into action of if I'm looking at a stat sheet or a study, putting that into action has really been a big part of my growth, and knowing what to take from certain analytics and how to actually improve what I'm doing and teaching based on what I learned. And so like I said, I've evolved, and this is not coming from just one thing that I learned in this year, any given study, but looking at things from a really broad lens and being able to just to continue to grow. So today we're going to look at 4 different categories. The first being on entry for a setter, entry and prep. Some who've listened to me speak about setting before have heard me talk about this. It's something we're really trying to make change with our setters, and what we're able to control with our entry, and we'll cover that more in a little bit. We'll look at our speed. If you've ever watched our women or really our men or a lot of our USA teams play, our speed is a big weapon of ours in our offense, so we'll uncover that a little bit. We'll look at our setter's range and how big or small of a range we could be in setting certain types of players, in certain types of speed. Those are going to be connected in our conversation today. And we'll look at some distributions, and that's going to be a little bit more tactically and how we might put our team together and set our offense up in a way to be really successful. Okay, so first we're going to look at the entry and the execution analytics here. You can see the entry. You can see this little picture on the bottom, or this video of Lauren Carlini just in a practice setting. And by entry, I mean in first ball situations. So we're in serve receive, team serving at us, and we're entering in from serve receive. So here you can see Lauren entering in from rotation 1, she's coming from right back corner. And so I'm going to walk you guys through this study that Jeff Liu, who's pictured there on the left, and Lucas Labe, who's pictured there on the right. Jeff is our performance analyst, and Lucas Labe is our assistant coach with our women's national team. In 2018, they went through a study on entry and execution, and you can see in this chart, and I'll walk you through it, I know it's a lot, but the goal was to study the team attack efficiency based on the setter's ability to enter appropriately into serve receive. And we've defined that in a few different ways, and to be able to execute a balanced set off 1 or 2 feet. And the method of that is, for those that are familiar with data volley, we're going to walk through kind of how this study was executed if you're interested. And so the first part is box 1. So on the entry, did the setter get to a position with her back to the net and face the passer? I'll use that language quite a bit. So they're running up. You'll see Lauren here stopping, facing the passer on contact. And then in data volley, it's just a yes or a no in that green box there. The second is in box 2. Upon entry, did the setter get stopped regardless of the position on the floor when the pass was being contacted, yes or no? So Jeff and Luca, they went through every single entry in the 2018 season for USA, and they went through every single one. So in this example with Lauren, they went through in 5 different boxes. They would have typed a yes or a no in the first box and a yes or a no in the second box. For box 3, this is talking about the entry position. How was the setter positioned with relationship to the net and the sidelines? And they would enter a number 1, 2, 3, or 4 based on those criteria listed below. The setter was both 3 to 5 feet off the net and positioned 3 steps in from the zone 2 sideline. So you can see in this example, although the angle of the camera isn't amazing, but you can see Lauren would have received a 1 here. She is 3 feet off the net and 3 steps in from the zone 2 sideline, which is the right sideline. She would have received a 2 if the setter was only 3 feet off the net, but let's say she was a little more into the middle of the court versus to the right. We put at number 3 if the setter was only 3 steps from the zone 2 sideline or from the right sideline. There would be a number 4 if the setter was neither of those 2 things, so neither 3 to 5 feet off the net nor position 3 steps in from the right zone 2 sideline. So that would be box number 3. Box number 4, did the setter set off of 1 foot or set off of 2 feet? So 1 or 2 would be the number we would enter into the box. So again, in this example with Lauren, she would receive a 2 because she's setting with 2 feet and not jumping off of 1 foot. And finally, in box 5, data volley in this case allows 5 custom code digits or numeric or alphabetic codes in their custom code. So box 5, was the setter balanced when the set was contacted? So this is upon the set, was she 1 balanced, 2 off balance, and 3 miscellaneous? There's a couple examples there, falling to her knees, on a dead sprint to 20 feet off the net, etc. Obviously, in this example here, very controlled situation, Lauren is balanced on center contact. And then what we were looking for in the result was for each of the setters in our study to quantify the team attack efficiency when each of the above 5 categories were executed, to be able to compare 1 foot and 2 foot setting efficiencies in different scenarios, and be able to compare set efficiencies when the setter enters and serve receive correctly. And correctly would be we were facing the passer, we were stopped on contact, we were 3 feet off the net, 3 steps in from the zone 2 sideline, and that's the entry that we wanted to prove or disprove was beneficial to our efficiency. And then we wanted to be able to share this data with individual setters to quantify the why of what we're teaching them to do and to show the net positive or negative of each scenario. So in this study, this was a big one for us in 2018. We felt upon doing this study that there was going to be hopefully some things that we were able to show that, hey, this is why we're teaching you what we're doing, and for our own coaching and teaching, be able to look at our methodology and prove or disprove some of the importance of those elements. And so I wanted to share with you the whole study. I know it's a lot, and I don't expect you to be able to have grasped all of that. And in Data Volley, that took plenty of time going through video and typing those codes afterwards. That's not something that's happening during a match. Jeff and Luca spent a lot of time in the off season running through film and coding and putting in those 5 different custom codes into a box. And so, for example, if we were custom coding Lauren right now, if we wanted to have a little test for ourselves, we can say, okay, in box 1, what would you put? And I'm not going to answer that for you, but you can go through that. And was she facing the passer in this example there before the passer touched the ball? In box 2, what would you put, a yes or no? Did she get stopped before the pass was contacted? And then in box 3, was she 3 feet off the net and positioned to the right, or any of the below? In box 4, did she set off 1 or 2, and then was she balanced? So you can imagine the time that took, but really grateful, and I'll take you guys through, I'll take you through our results. So this is a picture of Michael Christensen, but I loved this picture, and I loved that it showed, I watched setters all over the world on these concepts as well. We study our own team, but we study college players, junior players, men's, women's, and we're looking a lot at this entry. And this is stopped and facing. So he is both stopped and he's facing, in this case, Matt Anderson, number 1, who's passing the ball here. And what we found in our study, this was probably the biggest takeaway, though there was a few really important takeaways. And in this, I call it being prepped in the pocket. In the pocket is where kind of the zone we want to be in when we're entering in. When our setters in this study were stopped and facing the passer prior to passer contact, we were 0.39 attack efficiency. When we were neither stopped nor facing, so not stopped, not facing, our team efficiency, attack efficiency, was only 0.2. And so quite a bit difference, almost 20% difference of our attack efficiency by doing something that our setters can control, but making sure we're seeing that serve and being really efficient with our movement into the pocket. This was a huge takeaway, so I wanted to start with this. Another big takeaway here, and you can see in this GIF that'll play over and over. This is Jordan Poulter entering in from zone 4. And one of the more challenging zones, you saw one of them in the opening slide of this study from zone 1, and then here's from zone 4 from left front. And so you can see how fast Jordan's moving, and she's also working to get stopped and face her passer. But this example I love because it's a challenging one to get right of center. And this was the point on the entry study where we're as close to 3 steps from the zone 2 or the right sideline as we can be. We'll see some examples and some more of the why, but this study shows that it's better for our setters to be moving forward than it is for them to be moving backward. And we'll cover that in a couple slides. But when we enter and we're to the right of center or 3 steps from the zone 2 sideline, our attack efficiency is 0.52. So over 500, we're hitting over 500 when we can get to this good entry position. And when we're not right of center, our attack efficiency is significantly lower at 0.36. And so as you can see in this clip, and I just love when setters do this really well because we got to work at it. We have to really see that server, and she's really busting her butt to get over to that spot and stopped facing prior to contact here. And so we'll see like I said, another couple examples of why this spot is important, but I wanted to kind of go through the study with you. Balanced on setter contact and footwork. So we're going to look at both of these charts, and we'll start with the footwork chart. So 1 foot versus 2 feet. And we could probably have a whole session on footwork and efficiencies of moving to the ball, and what are we reading and seeing, and how are we getting there. And I love to talk about footwork. I think there's a lot of really good situations to be off 2 feet and a lot of situations to be off 1 foot. And what you can see in this chart when we did our study is they're virtually even, 30% and 32%. And so virtually even, and I am looking through a lot of video on our setters. Look, the top 3 setters that we have in our gym right now, their situation and when they're going to be off 1 and 2 are different between them. And so I think this is something that's going to be really important for you, your staff, your setters, to determine what's going to be best for each setter in your gym. But what we learned in the study is the most important element of moving to the ball was that we were balanced when we're setting the ball. So when we were balanced, when our setters were determined balanced by Jeff and Luca, we were at 33% efficiency, attack efficiency, and they were not balanced. So they were either maybe they were falling off or low, or the ball wasn't taken in the middle of their face. They were only at 22% attack efficiency. And so this was the most important part. And so how we arrived at the ball, how we got there, wasn't as important of what we did when we were at that place when we were setting the ball. So this is a study that was actually done by Joe Trinzi in the previous quad, and it just proved the point of where we want to enter and where we want to be. And Joe did this study in 2015 leading into the Olympic year in Rio. Basically a study of what is our attack efficiency when our setters are moving forward versus moving backward. And this picture right here is of Jordan Poulter in a really nice entry position, and you can see by those numbers there, 0.371 or 243 when she moved backward. And this is really big. If you can even just think of yourself, of if you're walking down the sidewalk, walking forward or walking backward, where are you more or less likely to trip and fall off the sidewalk or step on something or run into somebody? And we are better moving forward. And so we want to make sure that our entry is to the right of center. We want to stay behind the ball and as much as we can. And there's going to be it's going to be really important for us to work on moving backward getting balanced and be able to set from a big range that way. But this is a really big deal for us and our team. So this is a chart of attack efficiency by reception quality. So not with the entry, but I get charts like this quite often. Jeff Liu, our analyst, will send us charts, studies that he's done. And I think it's really important to think about how do we as coaches look at studies and put them into our own language and what makes sense for what we're trying to train with our setters. So when I looked at this chart, that X that just flew in there, I'm thinking about our prep in our pocket and where is our pocket and why is that place that we want to enter to, why is it where I have it? I put tape on the floor and I ask our setters to get there. And so we're talking about reception quality in this heat map. And I put that X there, and that we're to the right of where we're the most efficient based on its reception quality. But what we're always looking to do is try to increase the range in which we can run in system. So you can see that yellow, that's the place that I think we can continually grow as our USA offense based on how our setter preps. The red, amazing, those are our best passes. They're in the center of the court. That's incredible. We love to hit 442. even that orange, even if we're prepped up at the net, that's 2 steps away, maybe 3, and we're making easy money on those, the red and the orange. What I'm really interested in this graph is the yellow, and how can we increasingly expand what that yellow blob looks like. I like 352 a lot bigger than, it's a lot more than that light blue and 151. And so this is an element that if we're prepped in a really good place, I'm a little bit off the net, then I have more of a chance to get balanced beyond the 10-foot line. If I'm all the way up at the net, I'm going to still have just as good a chance to set the perfect ball, but now I'm way further away from increasing my range off the net and going forward. So this is another good example for me of why I want to start off and to the right. All right, we're going to watch a video. This is a training video, kind of putting all of that into action. So we've looked at heat maps, we've looked at data, I've looked at the entry of all of our different setters around the world, and we'll see some of that video here. Okay, so we're going to break it down. In the entry, one place where we work with our setters a lot is seeing the server. So we want to get eyes on that server first. And then you can see Jordan Poulter, our setter number 2 here, stopped facing the passer. You can see where that volleyball is. It's plenty early before the passer touches it. And we're going to be able to read. This is a big part of why it's great to be stopped and facing. So what are we doing when we're facing? We're reading the passer. Okay, so here you see Micah Christensen stopped facing the passer and reading. This is what is going to allow for him to get a really nice move towards the pass. You can imagine that's going to help with the balance. Here's Jordan Poulter. Lauren Carlini, this is entering in from rotation 3, which can also be kind of tricky. Here she's right of center, and you can see she's 3 feet off the net after she gets balanced in her pocket. This is Kennedy. Was our U18 national team setter in 2019 when they went to the World Championships, and this is our boys U19 team. Aiden Knight, you can see they're just right as center. I love that. We can do this at any age. It's really important to teach it when we're young. Here's another really good example of Micah, stopped facing, really, really balanced. This is the one we saw 100 times on the previous slide. Jordan hustling, stopped and balanced and facing her passer. Really good prep.